All right. Hey, welcome everyone. This is week 4 of our health asynchronous activity. So this is a recording. We're going to discuss the first aid and natural disasters and how to prepare for natural disasters and how to help others when we have first aid. Excuse me. All right. So let's move on. So first, in our learning targets, we are going to classify the different types of injuries and identify how injuries occur. All right. So in go ahead and look at your chat box, by the way, and click on the link right there. There's a Padlet. Once you click on that Padlet link, it's going to help you out prepare for our post we're going to do. All right. So also our next learning target, we're going to describe the procedures for first aid and demonstrate how to treat an injury. And then next, we're also going to recognize the different natural disasters and how to develop a plan to prepare for natural disasters. All right. So get those quizzes out and help you out and prepare so you can get this, 100% on your quizzes. All right. So let's move on. Go ahead and click on that link for that Padlet in the chat box. All right, remember, click on the circle on the bottom right corner. That's with the plus sign, and you'll see a pencil. Once you click that, go ahead and click on the boost on the white box on the bottom and start posting your answer. So when you think of the first aid kit, yes, first aid kit, what kind of objects would you find in the kit? Think of important ones. Why would you want those important ones? Why did you say those first four? Give me 4 to 5 objects in here. And think, analyze it. Why are those the important ones? Tell me why you picked those ones. Go ahead and pause the recording. Click on the bottom right circle as well to type. Thank you. All right. Go ahead. Let's move on. Here we go. Let's start taking notes. Vocabulary terms. They're going to help you in your final exam, your exams, your, you know, checkpoints as well. Okay, so here we go. Prevention. Prevention is an acting of keeping something from happening. You're preventing it. All right, we already know this. We have a prevention. All right, we got to prevent natural disasters, prevent injuries. Next, we have compressions. You're gonna see one of these is in our one of our methods that we can do for help on an injury. Now, it's an element of CPR as well, and it is in which a person presses down about 2 inches on the patient's sternum. All right, so we have two types of compressions. We're going to talk about CPR compression as well as holding compression um, on your arm as well. Okay, so here next we have natural disasters. Natural disasters are dangerous events prompted by nature that can cause severe damage or even loss of life. All right, it does cause damage, but you can rise up and always prepare again. Then you have crisis communication. This is ability to communicate during a natural disaster event, even in regular disaster event. Crisis communication. All right. Go ahead and pause the recording if you need to take notes. Remember, you want to use this in the future to keep on moving. All right. So next we have the different types of injuries. Now we have two. One is a fracture. Now, in fractures, it's a crack or break in a bone. Okay. Now with this one, there's different types of fractures. We have spinal fractures that can cause paralysis in the back. You also have breaks on the bones of legs, arms, wrists, hands, fingers. All right, but it's usually caused mainly by falls. But they also got sports that goes around. Now here on the right, let me get my pointer right here. Here we go. Here on the right, we have different types of injuries, breaks, fractures. You got transverse, you got linear, you got oblique, non-displaced. So now displaced fracture is a bone breaks into two or more pieces and moves out of alignment. Okay. Now displaced fracture we don't see here, but I definitely want to tell you that. But you also have non-displaced fracture. Now these bones break but does not move out of alignment. It's just still steady. All right, it's still there. All right, and then you have an open and a closed fracture. Closed fracture is the skin is broken. Or not broken. Not closed fracture. The skin is not broken. Again, okay, but then you also have open fracture, the bone that's broken through the skin. Very, very, uh, you know, that one you do not want to open fracture. That's very dangerous. You gotta call 911 right away when that happens. Any time. All right. Now with fractures, there's all the different types. All right. Now transverse fracture is the broken piece of the bone is at the right angle to the bone's axis. All right. It just goes left to right. You see right there? Makes it easier right there with the pointer. Then you got linear going up and down, horizontal or vertical. Sorry, vertical. Horizontal is the transverse. Linear is vertical, goes straight up and down, parallel to the bone's long axis. Then you have oblique fractures. There's oblique displaced and oblique non-displaced, where it doesn't break completely. Then there's displaced where it's broken, it's not attached. Spiral fracture when it's twisted and broken. One part of the bone has been twisted and breaking point. That's very hurtful. A green stick where it's an incomplete fracture in which the bone is bent occurs most often happens to which age? Or what do you guys think? You thinking teenagers? Close. More children. More in green sticks, more happens to children. And then you got a com, comminuted comminuted fracture. The bone breaks into several pieces. That is, I don't know how that one gets treated on that one. Now with fractures, you gotta call 911. You gotta be careful with that. Next, we could not an injury we could say, but it's we go through is heat stroke. Here in Arizona, especially in Arizona, it gets hot. It always is about 100 degrees. We have summer. We're supposed to have summer. What 3 months or 4 months? We got it like what 9, 10 months out of the year. It's warm. All right. So, but when you have a heat stroke, it's bother overheating and body temperature rises to 104 degrees. So you got to be careful. What you see here in the picture we have is heat stroke where it happens. Rapid heat beat symptoms. No sweating when you got the hot and red skin, like your chills, you get the chills, dizziness, headaches, you know, you get a flushed skin, unconscious, that's very dangerous. All right. So limit your self time in the sun. All right. Don't wear thick and dark clothes. It's very, very important. All right. And wear protection. You gotta wear protection from the sun, UV rays. It helps out. All right. Use an umbrella, sunscreen. All right. And drink a lot of water. You should be drinking a gallon of water to help you out. Be fully hydrated. Gallon of water total in a day. All right. So that's very important. So after fractures, we also have sprains and strains. Now, spraining is an injury to a ligament and it occurs at the joint. Okay. Now here you see healthy ankle ligaments, damaged ankle ligaments. Okay. But You got to understand with the sprain, it's injury to the ligaments. All right. Now, with the strain, is injury to the muscle and the tendons where it's connected. It's more of a pulled muscle. All right. You can think of your back right here in the bottom right. Strained muscle tissue. It's going from normal, it's relaxed. You see how it relaxes, then it gets inflamed because it gets bigger. It gets red when you treat it. Put some ice. 20 minutes on, 20 minutes off. Helps out. Now, this is an example of a back. So lower back injuries can cause this. You get strains in your back tissue from car accidents, lifting heavy objects, continually lifting heavy objects, bad posture, sitting long periods of time in the same time. You got to get up. You know why? That's why you go period to period. You don't sit long. You also can develop chronic lower back pain, and this may persist for years. And you might be young, but over time it does occur. Make sure you take that. Now, let me ask you. Let's go back to sprains and strains. How long do you think sprain takes to heal? You think 2 to 3? Close. Not 2 to 3 weeks. A minor sprain may need a few weeks of rest. A major sprain may require surgery and months of recovery time. So be careful with yourself. When you get a sprain, you want to make sure you're fully healed. Take care of yourself. Now, with how to treat injuries, you gotta make sure you gotta understand when to call for emergencies. Because sometimes there's times where you can take care of yourself. Okay? From cuts, little, little, if it's a light, small burn, you can take care of yourself right there. But if it's a heavy burn, call 911, obviously. But always understand when is the best time to call 911. Now, some examples: major injuries, such as broken bones that broke the skin. Very, very important to call 911 right away. Serious bleeding, breathing problems. Sometimes you want to make sure you take care of yourself. Sometimes you can't breathe, you call. Such as choking when someone's unconscious. So think about that. Head and spinal injury. Yes, concussions. When people go in tackles, you call 911 right away, right? But you also have first aid. Remember, we went back to your tablet. Think about your first aid kit. It helps provide the first aid kit. First aid helps provide injuries. Even sick, there's some medicine in there. If you add medicine as an example, that's a good choice. Now, when it comes to broken bones, fractures, sprains, and strains, there's a special method, guys, called rest or rice. Rice, yes, the special grain. This is an acronym. RICE stands for rest, ice, compression, and elevate. Again, rest, ice, compression, and elevate. Rice is very important when you use this method. When you have broken bones, fractures, or strains. When you have a surgery and you got healed, you have to still do the method. You raise your body injury. This helps a lot. Now, when you think about rest, you rest for the injury, okay? You just chill, relax. You cannot be using it. You cannot move your hand, your fingers, your, your body until you're completely healed. It helps. Also, if you have a strain or sprain, please use ice. Ice applied is next. 20 minutes on, 20 minutes off. It helps out a lot. It reduces the swelling, reduces the time to recover. It rests the muscles underneath. Compression. Now, here with broken bones, you always want to compress. You think of casts. When you put casts, it compresses your body. Yeah, your arm or your leg gets skinnier after the effect, but think about it. It compresses. Make sure it does not move. Gotta make sure you take care of yourself. Elevated, elevate the control swelling. You don't want to have your arm in one area laying straight forward. There's not gonna be blood circulating. That's why you let elevate it. All right, that's your rice. Now with first aid kit, what are some items? Think of items that you use. Those four important items that you brought up in your Padlet. Why did you choose those? What kind of items did you choose? If you have an instruction book, yes, that's a good part. There is an instruction book, guys. Instruction book, not just how to use the items, but when to use the items. Sometimes it's a good idea to use that. Check that out. And then antiseptic wipes, very important, so no one gets any infection. You want to take care of that. Band-aids, yes, important to have bandages. We need all the bandages. So there's some good examples right there, guys. Heat stroke. Oh man, we talked about this. You call 911. Move the person in a cool place. Important to do that right away. These are some steps. These are the 1, 2, 3 steps. Call 911. Move a person in a cool place. Help them to cool down the person. There's different ways. You can put them in the shower to cool down, yes, but you make sure you keep their clothes on. It helps out as well. Keeps it stoked. But make sure it's not too cold. You gotta make sure it's cool water. Getting a towel with cool water helps out too. Put it on the forehead, on the top of the head, just not soaked, helps out. So here we go. How to treat injuries. Let's talk about how to treat injuries. Now be careful. You see blood, any injury, whatever, you get gloves, no matter what. Why do you think we need gloves? Why is it important you need gloves? What can you what can happen? If you think you can get diseases, yes. Some diseases such as HIV, hepatitis, yes. Bloodborne illnesses, you want to prevent that. It's important to get gloves. Now with small cuts and scrapes, you want to apply pressure until bleeding stops. Make sure you compress it. It clogs up, stops bleeding. You want to lose a lot. Now with nosebleed, you want to pinch the nostrils for about 10 minutes and head tilt forward slightly, not fully. You need to breathe. You don't want to pull all the way back. Pull all the way back, you're gonna suffocate yourself. Please, and breathe through the mouth. Take care of yourself. Don't pull back a lot, slightly, please. Any heavy bleeding, you call 911. Apply the thick and clean bandage to help before 911 returns, before the ambulance returns. This is what you can do to slow the bleeding down. All right, lie the person down, elevate. Look at that, Rice method, pretty much. Injury from which organ of the body, guys? How high should you elevate that item, that injury? You think you're in your lungs? No, it's okay though. You're on the right track. It's your heart. Think your heart, great job, guys. Your heart is very important. You want to make sure you elevate higher than your heart, right? With spinal injuries, immobilize. Do not move that body. You don't know how much damage you can do. If someone tackled, let the professionals. If someone tackled and it hurts their spinal, let the professionals do that. You call 911, but you make sure they don't move until the emergency arrives too. Very important. Next activity, is our vocabulary. So definitely pause the recording. On the left is one, 2, 3, 4. On the right is A, B, C, D. Match each vocabulary term. All right. Let's see what you got. 1 is to C. 2 is to D. 3 is to A. And 4 is to B. There we go. Interesting, interesting. All right. So let's talk about natural disasters. We gotta know what natural disasters are so we can prevent them in the future. Now, with natural disasters, we got earthquakes, which don't happen a lot in Arizona, but in other places you gotta research about that. Wildfires, we have those a lot in Arizona with the high temperatures, of course. Severe storms, we get those during the monsoon seasons. Yes, we do. There's always been occurrence of tornadoes forming, so it's very dangerous. Think about that. Floods and sinkholes. Now with sinkholes, not happened as much, but it can happen. Floods, during the monsoon season, I can see the floods happening. We've seen it on television during the news. It's happened. Now with natural disasters, we have emergency preparedness. All right, we're planning ahead, reducing the risk of injury and protecting themselves as well, yourselves as well. So, what items should we have in the disasters kit? Write it down right there in under your notes. What are some items that you would use and have in there in your disaster kit? If you're thinking of battery powered radio, good idea. You definitely want to know what's going on in the outside of the house, possibly, or wherever shelter. Good idea. First aid kit, yes, you need a first aid kit. Come on, not just a disaster kit, a first aid kit. Matches, maybe, possibly, you could definitely use matches. Wildfire, no, get out of there. No, but matches is a good idea. Flashlight, maybe that'd be better. You know, blankets, ooh, definitely. Food, if you think about food, man, good choice. Number one, always have food. And please, whenever something happens, make sure you have your medicine. If you need to take an inhaler, find it. Go get an inhaler. All right, take it with you. You need a medicine that helps health issues. Get them. It's very, very important. Plan it. So here, we're gonna talk about the 4 phases of emergency management. You're gonna need this possibly in your quizzes. So first thing we have is mitigation. Now mitigation is the phase that includes prevent emergencies. All right, future emergencies, and it reduces the chances of emergencies to help you know prevent this, prevent any issues with insurance, and it reduces the damage too. Helps out. Now this takes before and after emergencies as well, not just in the beginning. Think about that. Even though it's number one, it's the first thing we talk about though. Cycle. Now you buy food or food and fire insurance. It's the examples in here. Next we have number two, preparedness. Now this includes the plans that is made to help you to save lives or even assist rescue. Now this is where you build the evacuation plan. Fire from wildfires, from earthquakes, tornadoes, hurricanes, monsoons. But it's very important to stock up on food and water. You need food and water. You cannot survive without food, especially. Now this takes place before the emergencies. Be prepared. Number three, response. Seeking shelter. Turn off the gas valves. Very important to turn off that gas valve. You don't want the house you live in or apartment explode. Living. Actions during the phase of the emergency. It's very, very important. It helps save lives and prevents property damage. Saves you money. And then sometimes we have to go through recording or recovery. Recording. Recovery. It involves trying to get back things normal. Now this improves your safety plan as well. You want to understand what did went wrong, what we can do differently. All right. Now this is the final phase. Now actions involved trying to get things back to normal is the important part of this. Now this is getting financial to pay for home repairs and getting prepared, you know. And this is a cycle. All right. So I want to thank you guys. And like I said, if you already have your quizzes out, finish out those 5 questions and answer those quizzes, 5, 6 questions. And once you are done, submit it. All right. Now, if you have any issues, there's my contact. That's my direct line. Write it down if you don't have it. Again, to help you out for Project 2. If you need help on Project 2, that's what I'm here for as well. Okay. If you need help on Project 1 as well, I can help you. Book A101 in the announcements. It's there. It's always in there. First one, go all the way to the bottom. All right. So, well, you definitely close. Have a great week and have a great day.